Welcome to another episode of the Nashville Dads. This week we have on Davis Reese from Joyland. When asking Davis to be on the show, I knew he was a lot of fun to talk to and loved being a dad, but I don't know if I realized how much Nashville and the Nashville food scene is part of his story. In this episode, there's shoutouts and references to Sean from HiFi Cookies, Sam, Jett and Sean Brock, Melrose Billards, Rotiers, Jason Isbell's manager Traci Thomas, and lots of other little Nashville moments. And he also took this call from the library at Audrey's, which is pretty awesome. For parenting, we talk about how having a 3-year-old is more challenging than a 2-year-old, how you trick your kids into getting what you want, sleep regressions, therapy, sobriety, growing up in Nashville, and working at Joyland, especially after the tornado. This episode was a lot of fun, and we really hope you enjoy it. We had one guest on, Joshua Love, where I talked to him afterwards. I was like, "Hey, how do you feel about you? We posted your episode. How do you feel about it?" And he was like, "I'm funny. That's what I think."
That's my hope, man.
That's some
That's
good
my
confidence right there.
I definitely had I went to Chicago last week and I went and ate with some friends, and I was getting on the flight to come back, and the guy who I went out to eat with a couple of times sends me this clip, and he's like, "Man, I really like the point you made here," and it was a post from a podcast, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, "Wait, shit, that's my name," and I realized it was a podcast I had been on. I'd forgotten I'd been on it. And then I listened to it, and there's a story in there from when I was getting sober that I had totally forgotten about. And it's like a great story. And I was like, man, this is wild. Like, I'm reliving these moments. And then I listened to it, and I was like, oh, the same thing. Like, I am funny. Like, oh, good. I'm interesting. I really reassuring that. I was like, I knew I was coming to talk to you guys. So I was like, well, at least I know that I've got some good stories in the bag. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's awesome. You said your daughter is 3. We both also have 3-year-olds.
Yes.
Both of our kids were born in September of 2021.
So she was born in July.
Oh, seriously?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really crazy.
Yeah.
So, we talked about this the other day. So Sean from HiFi, his son Ellis is best friends with my daughter AB.
That's so cool.
I have a picture. They went to a birthday party for another kid, and there's a picture of Ellis, and they're driving like a toy car, and he's got his arm around my daughter, and he's looking back over the camera, like at the camera, and I was just like, man, like that kid, if he wasn't so cute,
Yeah, Sean, if you're listening, you have a very cute kid, and your kid probably also knows it already.
I don't know about you guys, but the terrible 3s. It wasn't the terrible 2s, but it's been the terrible 3s for me.
The 3-nager?
Yeah.
Dude, well, 2 was actually kind of sweet. Like, I was like, she wanted to lay in my arms. She was so happy to see me. Like, it was really, it was nice. The last 2 days I picked her up from daycare, I've walked in and she started crying or just throwing herself on the ground, and she's like, I want her mom. And then luckily yesterday I was like, we're gonna go to Cheese House, which is what we call Baja Burrito. I was like, we're gonna go to Cheese House and see Tanner and Kira, who are 2 of her favorite people. So I convinced her to come with me peacefully, But today, I was like, she laid on the ground. Was like, I'm not I want mom. And the teacher got a little aggressive and was like, you will not treat your dad that way. Like, you're lucky to have a dad. And I was like, okay, she's 3.
I hear you.
It's intense. And I had to get her up and got her, to put her coat on and stuff like that. And luckily she saw her friends who were running outside. And then we got outside and she was just broke down and was like, I have to go to Publix. And I was like, what are we going to Publix? I'm like, what? Okay, we're going to Publix. Great. Let's get in the car. And she was like, no, you have to promise me we're going to Publix. And I just recently taught her pinky promise.
Oh, cute.
So I'm standing outside of this daycare. Parents are walking past me. And I'm leaning down, kissing my hand. It's pinky promise my daughter that we're going to go to Publix. Oh my God. She's just been a handful. I love her.
Was there something specific at Publix that she wanted?
She had these dried mangoes. And I don't know for sure that's what she's after, but every time we go in there, that's what she goes to initially. So I think that she always eats it before we leave. Because obviously I'm not going to hold on to it. Patience isn't really a thing yet. I'm sure you guys have experienced that as well.
No, not at all.
It's wild. But yeah, but the other thing too is they have the cart with the wheel. So she's basically acts like she's driving. She's eating dried mangoes. She's happy for 20 minutes. And the truth of the matter is I'm happy to do it. It's I've been at work all day. If I get to basically like make people laugh because they're watching my cute daughter drive around in her little bear coat eating dried mangoes. Like, great.
That's fine.
Like, yeah, like there's way
and
worse
you get
ways
stuff done also. Like, that's good. That's a
Yeah.
good time.
One of the problems I don't necessarily, neither of the last two times this has happened have I needed anything for Publix. So I'm like, I'm like
Just
going
made
through.
it an outing, huh?
Yeah, I'm going in. We're getting this and that. I inevitably end up buying something.
Yeah, of
And
course.
then I go home and I'm like, why did I buy a $16 worth of cut fruit? Like, I have a
Yep.
knife. I know how to use it. Like, this is what I do for a living. But it just in the moment seemed like a good idea.
Yep. My son will always be like, he loves the like science museum in whatever town we're in. So I'll be like, hey man, we need to go do anything. He's like, no, science museum. And I'm like, sure. And then that gets him in the car. I'm lying to him. He doesn't understand. We're not going to the science center every single day.
Devin, you're not supposed to lie to your son.
I am bending the truth in a way that benefits me. That's lying. Okay, never mind. So, yeah, every single day we'll be like, we'll eat a snack or something. Be like, I want to go to the science museum. I'm like, cool, we're going to the science museum. And then he'll get in the car without screaming. But if I look at him and say, actually, no, we've got to go to Sam's Club. We've got to go to the grocery store. And he's like, no, I don't want to. And I'm like, well, I know you don't want to. That's why I normally say we're going to the science center.
But
so does he ever pick up after like going to wherever it is that you go? Like, hey, this isn't the science.
It sometimes clicks later, in which he's then like, I want to go to the science center. But he's 3, so like everything is the biggest emotion possible. So like you just kind of go, yep, sorry, man, and then keep on going about your day.
God, I don't know. Big emotions for us are hard to deal with. She's got just such big emotions. My problem is she's caught on. I can no longer tell her we're going to do this thing, get her in the car, like put music on, distract her. A couple, like 10, 20 minutes later, she's now asking me again. And those were the moments that I knew I'd screwed up. And what's funny is like, I remember the moment I realized I'd screwed up was we were like doing something and she was like, I want a new bed. And I was like, okay, sure. So we get on Amazon and I'm like showing her like unicorn beds because she's into unicorns. And I'm like, okay, isn't this cute? She's like, yeah. The next day she wakes up and she goes, Daddy, I want a unicorn bed. And I was like, well, no, I don't think she'll forget. We're like dropping her off at school. She's like, I want a unicorn bed. I get to the school later that day. The teacher's like, all she talked about all day was a unicorn bed. Are you getting her a unicorn bed? So guess what she has now?
A unicorn bed.
A unicorn bed. Yeah. That was the moment.
Yeah.
I have proof of the moment at my house right now. It's in her bedroom. So.
So you have just one daughter?
Just one.
Are you planning on having any others?
I have no plans to have any more right now. And the thing too is like, it wasn't a planned thing. Like it just sort of happened, and we're like, okay, this is great. We love her. We wouldn't change anything about our lives that got us to the point where we have this child. Yeah. However, this is chaos.
Yeah.
And we've signed on for only this much chaos. And the idea of having two, so one of my daughter's best friends, her parents are having twins. And I was talking to the dad, and they're wonderful, really nice people. Like I genuinely love them. But I could just see it on both their faces. They were like, we signed on. We were like hesitant to sign on for one more, and now we have 2 on the way.
Yep.
And I just remember thinking in my head, like, I don't know if anyone does 2. So like, I work obviously I work with Sean and Sam, and I work with people who we all have 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
So Sam's daughter was born in December, Sean's was born in April, and then mine was born in July. But they both have an older child on top of it. So we're going through this whole process, and I'm figuring out what it means to be a dad. And they're like, "Oh man, it gets worse." And I'm like, "Really?" Like, I was actually Colin, who's the chef here at Audrey right now, and has worked at Continental, wonderful guy. Just had his kid. I mean, like within the last couple of weeks, like very recently, and. I was looking at him and I sort of said the same thing. I was like, just so you know, I'm going to give you the same advice that they gave me, which is it does get worse. But I think it was in reference to just like, man, it is. It's being a dad's tough. It's rewarding, but man, it is a tough journey.
It's a really weird thing because like it is very trying. It tests you in ways you would never expect to be tested, exhausts you in ways that you never expect to be exhausted, but you're trying to find gratitude at the exact same time. So you are buying a bed on Amazon at like 8 p.m. at night because you're like, I can't keep lying to my kid about this bed that she desperately wants and will make her happy.
And then you're like, but do we actually have the money for this? Does it matter? No, just figure it out later. Like, there's so many moments where you're just kind of like, we'll figure it out later. It'll be fine. And yeah, it's
or
hard to,
I'll do it later. And it never gets done.
It's hard. So Davis, I actually have 3 kids. So I have an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And I'm a stay-at-home dad.
So honestly, like I love my job, but man, I wouldn't mind like just hanging out with AB all day long.
Yep.
Going to the park, I could do that for a while.
I think Devin has the dream job.
Yeah,
for sure.
Pretty much. I mean, my wife still has to put up with a ton of stress, and it's as I'm sure. I mean, you guys are both probably experienced this as well. Of like, whenever you and your partner or wife are both trying to be full-time parents and full-time job, it's exhausting, and it always feels like there's a gap that you can't meet. So that's honestly the main motivation for me staying home. Is like, cool, family stuff, that's me. Career stuff at this point in life, that's you. And just try to not, because whenever the lines get super blurred, if you have the opportunity to stay home, it is kind of like, oh yeah, no, this will simplify our life in a lot of ways. That gives us a lot of stress and a lot of like just headaches every single day.
I mean, it's a lot of juggling. I mean, I think that's the thing is like, just like, who's doing what, like, what do we have to do? And like, like we opened a new location for Joyland over in West Nashville recently. Yeah. And I basically like not say I wasn't home at all, but like I was there. I saw my daughter like 4 or 5 times in like a 2-week period. You know what I mean? Like I was just, and it sucks because like that's just part of the reality. But it's not like there's not nobody who can just like stay there with her all the time. She still had to have a full life as well, Mm-hmm. So it does make it it's an interesting place to find yourself. Yeah. And it is true that like having a kid definitely made me relook at some of the career stuff because I was like, I can't go to work at 9 a.m, get off at 1 a.m, and go home just long enough to sleep and to come back. Yeah. It's not okay.
Or you might be divorced later on.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? The honest truth is I'm kind of shocked sometimes when I'm not because, I mean, I do. Early on, so I mean, like, we had her, and within, like, I think 2 or 3 months, I accepted the job as the culinary coordinator for Sean. So I spent a bunch of time working at different restaurants and then doing events for him. And I was telling, actually, the person, Jen, who we've hired to be the general manager for the Charleston Joyland, like we did a farmer's market every Tuesday. We did a pop-up at Joyland every Saturday. And then interspersed in there were like dinners and other things that we were doing, Yeah. And I was like, it was technically like helping coordinate and put all these things together. And then I was also helping at other restaurants. Mm-hmm. I don't know what possessed me as like a brand new dad to be like, you know what? Like this is the time. Let's sign up more work. Let's just run really fast as hard as we can. The fact that I survived that is shocking to me. It was an interesting time.
We've had dads describe it as whenever you have a newborn, like you are just so eager to find ways that you feel like you're helping. And the first 2 years of your kid's life is so hard to like know in which way you're helping, especially if like your wife breastfeeds, like you're looking for your pocket basically to be like, okay, our entire life just changed. How do I actually feel helpful and am I helpful? And if the baby hates you, because some babies hate you like for a while and like they don't want to be held by you. So you're like, okay, this doesn't work. This doesn't make anything better. What can I do? And then someone's like, hey, do you want to work more hours and get paid more and have an opportunity? You're like, okay, I'm going to try this out because everything I do at home seems to not make things better, but I have to do something. I can't like, I think Sean actually, whenever we talked to him with Sean with HiFi, it was like, I feel like I just mowed the lawn like every other day sometimes. Cause I was like, I have to do something to be helpful. Like I can't just sit here and there's so many needs, but I don't feel like you're searching to figure out which needs you're the right person to meet, or, like how you're the right person to meet it.
For sure. I think also too, it's like, talking about like wanting to feel helpful. It's like, I know I can contribute in this area. Mm-hmm. Being a dad, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I showed up here, I hold you, and I really, really hope that no one tells me I'm doing it wrong. Yeah. It's true that like early on, she attached to me fairly well. But there were definitely those nights where like, you're just trying to get her to go back to sleep. Yeah. She's crying, you're exhausted, and you're just like, why don't you why don't you like me? Basically, what have I done to insult you? You don't know that many people. Like I have to be at least in your top like 3 to 5 people,
If this was a MySpace top 8, you've got to be at least in the top 2, right?
I feel pretty confident I would have been, I don't know if a top 2, but at least top 4. I feed you. Like that's gotta count for something.
I hold you. I then bring you to your mom.
There was a couple nights ago, Ada took like 3.5 hours to get down, and I was like, "Why do you hate me? I just need some sleep. Please, just let me sleep. I don't care if you don't want to sleep, but let me sleep." And she just looked at me, and I was like, "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that."
Nope.
But in that moment, you're just like, "Man, I need that sleep."
Yep. I just want it to end, and I don't know about you guys, but like AB, my daughter, has hit a sleep regression, and it's brutal. It's bad, and I think some of it too is some of it with me being away for a couple of weeks, not seeing her as much. I think she but she's like suddenly decided she's kind of scared of the dark, so she has a little headlamp that she wears, which is
That's
cute.
Awesome.
She wears it out of the house too with her headphones, so it's a real interesting look. But I was talking to another mom outside the daycare the other day, and I was like, this has been happening, and she's like, we're going through that too, and our daughters are like almost the exact same age.
Yeah.
And I told her, I was like, does it get better? And another mom stopped us and was like, it does, like, and it was a really reassuring moment of like, it really does, like, are these your oldest? And we're like, this is my only. And she was like, look, it does get better. Yep. And it was really nice to have like a moment with somebody of just being like, I've been where you're at.
Yeah.
There is an end in sight. And even though like you understand that, it is kind of reassuring. But then my dumbass made the joke. I was like, well, if it doesn't get better, I'm just going to assume my daughter's discovered meth and that we're all in trouble. And like, unfortunately, she goes to a really nice, like fairly like privileged daycare. And so, like, the other mom, like, my like, one of the moms laughed. The other mom did not think it was funny. And I was like, oh, come on. It was a joke. Like,
it's just a joke.
Obviously, I'm not going to give her meth. It would be like, something like Adderall later in life.
Yeah.
Normal.
Yeah, exactly. You should have been like, oh, sorry, does this school not do meth? Do you do Ritalin? I'm sorry. I'm not sure.
What is the socially acceptable term here for what we're going?
What's the socially acceptable upper that we need to be discussing here? She's too little for Coke. Come on. So she can't be Coke. Justin just had his second kid back in October. So Justin, you just don't sleep right now, right? That's basically what I'm hearing.
He's gotten a lot better.
Okay.
But I've been sick for the past week or so I'm sleeping up in the bonus room so I don't get Ada, the baby, or Haley sick. But it ran through, like, Ada came down with something from daycare, gave it to Briar. It was really scary for Briar because, like, he was really congested and he was coughing, and I was like, "Oh God, he has RSV." But he got over it relatively quick. But as he was getting over it, I started getting it.
Yeah.
So I didn't feed Briar at nights like I normally did. So I got a little bit of sleep while I was sick.
Some guilt-filled sleep.
Yes. But the last 2 nights, though, I've been waking up and feeding him his bottle.
Cool.
While Haley pumps, and he's only been waking up like once or twice a night, which is awesome.
That's great.
He's 8 weeks now.
Wow.
Cool. So 8 weeks today. So I am super thrilled and just crossing my fingers that it stays that way because I've always valued sleep.
Yep. Someone mentioned to me once, like, with sleep regressions, it is like a weird, like, I also, like, if any of my kids wake up before 6 a.m., if it's like 5:55, I'm like, no, you can't be awake right now. Like, there's something whenever you anticipate how much sleep you should be able to get whenever you fall asleep and a kid interrupts it for a legitimate reason, some part of me is always like, no, we didn't, this is what I agreed to. And it's like, yeah, it is. You had kids. This is exactly what you agreed to.
You've given up all rights for that. Yeah. For sure.
Exactly.
You do.
What do you guys do? Just ask a question. What do you guys do if that does happen and, like, your kid wakes up at 6 o'clock, won't go back to sleep? Do you just let them hang out in their room until like 7 o'clock, or do you just let them go out, turn on TV, or play with toys?
I mean, I kind of go. I think for the most part, it depends. Like 6 o'clock, it's like, okay, we'll just start our day. It's the 4 o'clock in the morning that gets me. Because it's like, I do need you to try to go back to sleep. And then usually what ends up happening is I wake up in the chair in her room, I've fallen asleep and she's just sitting there playing with toys.
Yep.
And I'm like, what happened?
Mhm.
And then I'm like, oh my God, are we going to be late? You know?
Yeah.
But no, the 6 o'clock, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let's get up. We'll sit. And like a lot of times for me, that's an excuse to like cook breakfast. Because I don't normally have time to do that because we're running. So I'm like, okay, it's 6 in the morning. Like, I can make some eggs. We can make some toast. And like now being 3, she likes to sit in the kitchen with me. So it's like we get to have a little bit of that like sweet moment of like cooking and
That's
making a
pretty
mess, and then I have time to clean up a little bit, and then inevitably my wife is like, "Hey, you made a mess in the kitchen this morning." I'm like, "No, I cleaned it up," and she's like, "You think you did?
cool.
You think you did, but maybe not as well as you could." No, the 4 o'clock
Yeah.
ones, or like God, sometimes she just wakes up at like 1 or 2 in the morning, and it's just
Oh
like,
man.
"I'm ready to go." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Why? What
Yep.
happened? Like what in your world happened that like you decided to torture me like this?"
Yeah. When do you normally put your daughter to bed at?
So the question is, when do we start, or when do we
Yeah.
just leave?
Yeah. No, I
'Cause
understand that game too. Yeah.
yeah, because like our goal is by 8, like out of bath, like she's changed, she's cuddled up. Either we're singing her, like sometimes I'll rock her, even though she's big for 3, so she's like
Yeah.
sometimes I still rock her, and she'll like it's like a sweet moment of like singing and trying to get her to go to sleep.
Yeah.
9 o'clock is usually like, okay, we're done. Like if I have not successfully gotten you there at 9, then the door's closed and you need to be putting
Yep.
yourself to sleep.
Yep.
That's a tough one though, because like I said, sleep regression recently. I had a night the other night where I literally woke up in a chair in her room, and not like I got up at 4 in the morning. Like she just would not go down because she
Yeah.
was saying, "I'm scared, don't leave." And I was like, "Okay, I'll just sit here with you." And the next thing I know, I woke up and I'm
Yeah.
asleep and she's asleep. I'm like, "Okay, I guess this is happening." So
Yep.
yeah, it's
No,
an
because
interesting
if she for some reason in my head, like I try to think of things logically. So I'm like, okay, if you fell asleep and you wake up at 1, you just were asleep for like 5 hours. That would be confusing. But whenever they like don't fall asleep until 9 or 10, then they wake up at 3. I'm like, there's no way. Like, how is your body telling you this is enough?
Yeah.
Like your body should still be like, hey, I need like 2 to 3 more hours. Like not like, nope, 5 a.m. Let's get partying. And I'm like, no.
But then also, like, where does the energy come from? Because I'm
I
like,
don't
you
know.
slept for like 5 hours,
Mhm.
and then you're just going and
Yeah.
running, and you're loud, and I'm like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Like, you should be exhausted. And then the craziest part is like, then those are the days where she doesn't take like any kind of nap or
Yeah.
anything, or like,
Yes.
and then you're like, it's like the end of the day, and she's just like zonked, and I'm like, okay, this is the night we're gonna get good
Nope.
sleep, and then it
You
happens
would-
again.
Nope.
Like,
You
what
would
is this
think-
superpower?
You would
know.
think without them having a nap that like that night they would just be conked out and have a great night. My kid, no.
Never.
It is if she doesn't have a nap, I'm in for a long night.
Yep.
But if she has a nap, we sleep well.
Yep. Well, Davis, you did also say that you do give your daughter meth. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Yeah, lay off that just a little bit.
I think she's discovered it. I think that's what's happening here. I mean, is this what I get for raising a child in Tennessee? I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
right. Yeah.
it's dude. I really do like. I try not to give her too much sugar or anything
Yeah.
like that. And I'm just gonna be honest with you, because I had a funny moment before I left the house. My daughter recently discovered marshmallows. And so
Nice.
yeah, because we had like a hot chocolate and like
Yeah.
Christmas thing, and she was like, "Oh, there's marshmallows in here. These are great." So of course, now we have a bag of marshmallows in the house, and I'm like trying to leave, and I was like, "Okay, like I gotta go," and she was like, "I want marshmallows," and I was like, "You've already had some marshmallows." She's like, "But I just a little bit of marshmallows, Dad, like just," and she's like holding a bowl, like a beggar
Yeah.
style, like, "Please, sir," like
Please, sir.
And
May I have
so I
some
like
more?
just gave her some marshmallows, and I'm like looking at this bowl of like, it's not literally like mini marshmallows, it's like a crazy amount. I'm just thinking in my head, like, I just gave my child like a bowl of essentially sugar and was like, all
Yep.
right, now please let me go do what I need to do. Like, this is the
Yep.
trade-off,
Yep. And you're like,
I-
oh man.
I did read an article, and I'm going to butcher this, but it was talking about in the juvenile detention centers, they stopped giving all those kids sugar,
Mhm.
and the violence like actually went down
Yeah.
based
believe
off
it.
of this. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I think it was like somewhere in the 70%. of violence went down because the kids didn't have sugar.
Yep.
I mean, I wondered like sometimes like what would happen if you took all the tablets and all the sugar away from kids, like what you would see. And I include tablets because like I've definitely heard similar things too, where like the tantrums go away when the screens go away.
They do.
And it's a really interesting thing to like look at and think about. 'Cause it's like, man, they're like, what are we doing to our children by allowing these things to happen? And I'm not getting on like a soapbox here, but it's just a funny thing because I look at what I'm doing and I'm like, I know this is not great.
Yeah.
But I also need to be able to drive for like 20 minutes without.
You're not alone, brother.
Yep.
Oh no, I'm not sitting here saying I'm doing a great job at it. I'm just doing the best I can. That's the moral of all the dad stories, right?
Yep.
I'm just doing the best I can.
That's right.
Yep. No, it's it's all. I feel like it's mostly based on the age of your kids, because like if we give our 6 or an 8-year-old a tablet to do like a coloring game or something like that, we're like, hey, it's been 30 minutes. Here's the timer. You're done. And they're like, cool, that's fine. And then they go and play and do something else. But like the 3-year-old Josh, oh no, man, if you try to take that tablet away, I'll even give him heads up like, hey man, this is about to happen. Hey, this is about to happen. This is about to happen. And he just screams. And I'm like, cool. What this is communicating to me is that like, this is actually harmful to you. There's not many scenarios in which I take something away from you and you scream at me, I need that back. In which I'm like, let's do this again later. This is going to be a positive experience. Let's do this some more
later. Let's repeat this process.
Do you try timers or setting timers for stuff like that?
For Josh, genuinely, if he gets a tablet, it is once or twice a month. It is genuinely like, I try to avoid it that much. I feel like I'll do like a check-in every once in a while. I'd be like, because he loves trains and there's like a million train games you can play on an iPad. So like I'll let him play with it every once in a while. And if he still has like that's all he asked for like the next week, then I'm like, cool. That to me implies you're a little too young for this. And like your brain is like going psycho to get the dopamine hits you got from playing this game for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I don't do timers. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but I think it's probably coming.
Yeah.
It's
for Ada, it works like a charm.
Really?
You just say, I'm setting a timer. As soon as it goes off, we are either getting ready for bed or getting in the bath, and she's good. She's like, oh, the timer went off, and then she goes and does it. So try that.
This is the advice that I need. There's some truth to like I'm just constantly listening to other dads, and I'm like, please impart all the wisdom. Like, give it to me. This is hard.
I always think the best thing to do is to, as dumb as it sounds, is to make sure to treat your kid like they're human. So put yourself in their shoes. So like if you're playing a game, you're watching a movie and you're having a great time and suddenly someone comes in and goes, we're stopping this right now. Go do something else. You would be like, what are you doing here? So just because they're 3 for me to expect to not do that, like that'd be dumb. Like if right now someone walked in and my wife was like, hey, you need to get the phone call. And I'd be like, oh, it's kind of in a good groove. Like, I guess I will, but like that kind of sucks. Like you would do the exact same thing your kid is doing, but since you're in charge, you treat it like it's like, no, I know what's right. And it's like, still transition time is hard for anyone.
Devin, I remember you telling me that like probably one of the first 10 episodes that we did, and that has been ingrained in my head. So if I do like abruptly stop her and then she goes crazy, I'm like, all right, let's reset. Let's reset.
Yeah.
And then let's try it again. And when I do the timer thing, it helps her reset.
That's smart. I would say that's smart because like I definitely think that like the reset is such an important aspect of the whole thing. It's like for me like our reset is typically when she gets that mad is I just try to like get down close like to her and then just like talk calmly. And what's really cute is so I have long hair, she has long hair, and I'll literally be like, "Can you blow my hair?" And she does like the like deep breath and she like blows my hair and it makes her laugh.
Yep.
And then I blow it, but like there is that like reset of like, okay, like because it's an emotions thing, and like I definitely am like looking at her and going, you have big emotions, and like I remember having big emotions when I was younger. I didn't understand them. It's scary. And I'm just like having that conversation with her, even though she doesn't necessarily like conceptually understand what I'm saying, just like the calm tone and all that I think helps. But it also helps remind me because I'm like, okay. You're having big emotions. You don't know what your big emotions are. You're being mean to me, but it's not about me.
Yeah.
And I'm like saying this to her, and I'm like, but I'm also just really reassuring myself. Like I'm okay.
It doesn't hurt. I promise.
It's fine. I will remember this later.
This is scarring. I don't need therapy for this later.
I feel like a lot of people our age are more focused on like self-regulation, or how do you regulate yourself, basically, because that's ultimately like, what are most of the things I don't like about myself? It's my inability to self-regulate myself in some way. What am I hoping to teach my kids? Hey, when this moment happens, you're okay. Here's how you regulate yourself during it. So I think most people our age are very focused on like, hey, child, this feels bigger than you. It's not bigger than you. You got this. Let's figure it out together. Which a lot of us probably didn't have parents who had the mental capacity to do that.
Oh no, absolutely not. But I've been
Yep.
in therapy since I was like, I don't know. I think I started when I was like 7 or 8.
Oh,
So
really?
I definitely had I definitely learned some of those lessons at a young age, and I'm
Yeah.
so thankful because like I cannot imagine trying to do all of this without having had some of that inner work.
Yeah.
Like, and it's one of those things that like I look back and I'm like, man, one of the best things my parents ever did for me was put me in therapy.
Cool.
Because I had a lot of like I have one therapist for like a good portion of my life, and super like a lot of like Buddhist teachings, a lot of like mindfulness stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. And so it's a really interesting thing to like look back on that, and like he was like constantly like, you should consider these things while he was telling me the thing that he needed me to hear. And he's like sliding those like hints of things in, and I realized that like as she's getting older, I'm doing the same thing. Where I'm like, at some point you're gonna hear this, or you're gonna need this wisdom, and I'm saying it to her, realizing that like slowly but surely she's gonna intune some of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's an interesting.
What's a piece of wisdom you feel like you've told your daughter that you hope like gets into her subconscious and then later she refers back to?
I mean, so one of my favorite things is the the Viktor Frankl Man's Search for Meaning.
Yep.
Where he talks about the only thing you have the power to control is your reaction to things. I mean, and I say it like that to her because obviously if I get into like the larger verbiage of it, it's gonna be too much for her. She's no clue what that means now. But it's like all she can do is just control what you can control, like right here, right now, and that's where the breathing comes in. Like take that breath, recognize that this is not bigger than this moment. Like we're all here. It's all okay. And it is really funny because she gets angry and she'll start yelling at me, and she's like, "No, this is not control." And I'm like, "No, that's just it. Like we don't need to control this. You can just control this little bubble right here." And then she hears bubble and she's like, "Oh, okay, I can do this." You know what I mean? It's like those small little things just bring her back. But what I'm interested to see is like as she gets older, what actually like resonates with her, because I recognize that like what resonates with me may not resonate with her. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how that all sort of plays out like later in life. Like I think no matter what, she's gonna end up being in therapy. If for no other reason than to just think it was super helpful for me, but like also like she's gonna grow up around restaurants. They're just full of people who need therapy. Like there's no like I don't think anyone's arguing with me there, and if they are, they definitely need therapy.
And lots of meth, right?
Yeah. Lots of meth and therapy. Like, what are we taking away from this?
And therapy.
But I think therapy is inevitable for her, but I think also like if she can get to a place where she's, I don't know, able to like understand her emotions and not have them like control her, like that would be wonderful. Like I would think that would be like that's the goal. And I don't know that we'll get there, but maybe if I cut sugar out, maybe if I cut down on screen time, it'll help a little bit.
Right.
I
mean, to some extent, those are, I mean, like, why do I sometimes at night play video games or stare at my phone for like 2 hours before I go to bed? It's probably to ignore my inner world, because then I'd have to actually deal with my inner world. And a screen, a sugar, or something like that is a phenomenal distraction from whatever I'm hiding from. So,
oh man, yeah, well, I mean, like running away from problems is, I mean, shit, that's like a huge part of all of our existences, and like being a dad was like, okay, cool, like I'm going to be present every moment for my child, and then like you get into it and you're like, I am so tired, I'm so exhausted. She keeps wanting to touch me and she just wants my attention, and I'm like, maybe I do just need to sit in a corner with like a headset on and play video games for like an hour just so I can go do something else.
I'm not knocking it. I'm just acknowledging there. Sometimes I do it to reset. Sometimes I do it because I'm like, whatever's going on inside of me, you can take a back seat while I play this video game for an hour, because even if I knew the problem was there, I wouldn't have the energy to address it. So I'll just try again. Later.
It's the energy, not having the energy.
Correct.
Sometimes.
Yep.
You just need to zone out and in a way rest.
Yeah. I just read through, or My wife read through a book, then I read through it. I forget the name of it. About perfectionism and about how many different types of perfectionists there are. But one of the main things that said in it that resonated a lot with us was the concept of if someone asks you, do you have time for this? Hear that question as, do you have energy for this? Because I can always find time for something, but I cannot always find energy for something. Yeah. And just changing that makes a huge, the Perfectionist Guide to Losing Control. There you go. That's the name of the book.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yes. But it's because it's like, yeah, like right now, like, hey, like, Justin, do you have time to do a podcast later? Yeah, I could probably find an hour to do a podcast. Justin, do you have any energy to do a podcast later? Oh, those are two very different questions.
Different question.
I'm gonna steal that. I need that in my life. Yeah,
I'll text you the book also that we just read through because it's pretty helpful too.
Yeah, please do, because honestly, like that's something that like I constantly have to like, because I can always find time, but man, there have been plenty of times I get to that time and I'm like, I'm exhausted. Like,
I got nothing.
I got stuff to do later, and I'm supposed to be on right now. Oof,
yep,
that's rough. Yeah, that's definitely like that's the other thing too is like finding time for all the things that I want to do, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm supposed to do this.
You aren't.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
I think I've just given up on like, and I was talking to someone the other day. I was like, at some point I'll get back to having hobbies.
You will.
Like at some point that will all come back. But for right now, like all I'm really focused on is like just survival and like getting through. And I'm like, this is tough, but like it's only for a small period of time. And then you think about it, like, no, this is actually a long
time. When your daughter gets, for some reason, whenever my kids got into kindergarten, there seemed to be a very big shift there. Like it seemed like the doors of community open up very differently. Like, because daycare is like, you've got maybe how many parents that you hopefully get along with there, where like a school, there might be like 3 or 4 kindergarten classes. You've got like a whole array of like resources as opposed to just a daycare. So I feel like kindergarten around 5-ish, like a lot of pressure seemed to get relieved because I was like, okay, cool. There's like, and it's also like a structure you understand because you also went through school versus like, I don't remember being in daycare. Did I even go to daycare? I don't know what this world is like.
There's some truth to that. Although we've been lucky, we've met some pretty cool parents. AB's got a couple of friends that were just like, I don't know, like we just met their parents and were like, oh, like you guys are like pretty similar to us and also struggling and you want to talk about it. And also our kids get along and it's like, and that's nice. And they're wearing themselves out running around and like, we're like, okay, cool. I can live with this a little bit. That's definitely a thing. But no, I do. For some reason, kindergarten feels like a plateau. I'm like, okay, we can get there. I think we'll be okay. I think you're right. I think there's a certain amount of like I understand that system. Like we get to kindergarten, it'll all feel a little more familiar, maybe.
Yep. And also just like your kids' independence level. Like, you like right now, my 8 and 6-year-old, I can pretty much trust them to put themselves to bed. Like, do a prayer, do a story or something like that. Then they'll put themselves to bed. Josh is with a 3-year-old, it's like, do I need to rub your back for you to fall asleep tonight? Do I need to stand outside the door and sing a song through the door? Like, I don't know what the equation is tonight for you to do a basic human function that you need to do. So what's where's the equation tonight? And as they get older, the answers are a little bit more obvious,
Yeah, well, you can rely. It'll be nice at some point to be able to rely on her to be like, oh, you're just gonna go to bed, and I don't have to do any part of that.
Yeah.
Like you're just gonna get. Now, there's a part of me that gets sad thinking about that.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think that's the thing that like I struggle with because I'm like, there's a part of me that's like, oh, I want some autonomy. Like I want to get back to having some freedom, and for them to have the ability to do things on their own. And then the other part of me is like, but it is really nice when she lays across me and like falls asleep. And
it's sweet.
I don't want those moments to go away, and I recognize at some point they will. And then the inevitable like dad waterworks like come up in me, you know what I mean? And man, like isn't that a thing? Like I didn't cry at all before I had a daughter, and now I'm like I can cry over anything. Like the commercial's sweet, and I'm like, oh shoot, here it comes.
So Devin, having 2 older kids, when did they start to not have to like actually be in the room or rock or anything like that?
I don't actually know. They share a room. The 2 older ones share a room, so I think that makes a big difference. So they aren't really alone whenever they fall asleep. Now, granted, there's still some nights in which I need to go in there and like tell them to stop giggling so much. Like they're still kids, but like for the most part, it's pretty reliable. Like, hey, did the routine or whatever, and then they go to sleep. There's still definitely nights or like this week or last week. My wife was out of town for work. And then like both the girls like, it's almost Christmas time. So they're just jazzed about everything. Did I just use the word jazz?
Jazz.
They're just
You gotta
excited.
use the jazz hands, man.
They're just excited about everything. So it'd be like 9:15 to be like, hey guys, it's what's my favorite thing about being a parent is trying to figure out, there's no good way to put this, what threat works for your kid. You know, like that's a weird part of parenting you don't anticipate. Yep. Is to go in there and be like, we put Christmas lights up in the room. So it's like, hey guys, it's 9:15. You both should be asleep already. If you keep giggling and talking, I'm going to unplug the Christmas lights. And they're like, no, you can't do that. And I'm like, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to unplug. It's to say in a threatening tone, if I hear one more word from you, I'm going to come in here and unplug these Christmas lights. It's a very humorous and not in the moment humorous.
All right, Krampus.
But reflective. You're trying to figure out how to make them understand to take you seriously so they can go to sleep so they won't be jerks tomorrow at school.
Yeah, and you're just doing them a favor, really.
Yeah. It's not that I really just want to listen to audiobooks at night and they won't go to bed.
See, for Ada, she likes to rock. So sit in the rocking chair, she'll cuddle up with me. And yeah, like sometimes it'll take 3 hours.
Oof.
Yeah.
Because I'll say, all right, baby, it's time to lay down. I'll put her in her bed. And then literally like 5 minutes later, I'll hear her cry. Like, and then I go back in like, what's wrong? I want to rock more. I'm like,
yep.
I'm like, I want to go to sleep, but I also like to miss those moments.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I don't want to miss those moments, and I want to soak up every single minute.
I think that's the thing for me that like I have a hard time explaining to people who aren't parents, like or like the thing that like I just like don't know how to say it to people. I say it to other dads, and they're like, "Yeah, totally." Like our parents, I get that. It's like I'm like trying to treasure every moment. Because I recognize that like I only have so many of these, and I don't know when the last time that I'm gonna rock her is gonna be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And like I am so scared of missing that last moment because I was too busy doing something else. Yeah. Like I just want to be present, and also because like I mean, this is and I say the thing I say all the time is like she has one childhood. Like there's not a chance in hell that I'm gonna screw that up. I mean, I'm going to on some level, but I'm not ever going to intentionally. I'm not going to do it because I think there's something else more important. There's nothing more important to me than this childhood that she's got because it's my responsibility. Like I get to be in control and I get to help foster that, and I get to be a part of like giving her those sweet moments of like going out and like skipping rocks and learning, like seeing butterflies, and like those are all fun moments that like we all take for granted day to day. But like the first time she sees that, I was like, this is amazing, and you see that wonder, and you're like, I want to foster as many of these moments as I possibly can.
I always tell dads, or whenever they like, if someone's going to become a dad, I will tell them like one of the most unique responsibilities of being a parent that you and your partner or wife have is that you get to define what normal is for another human being. So do they get to look at butterflies, and do you allow them the space to look at, like, do you allow them the opportunity to be a kid, or do you like, how does all that actually look for you? Because however you treat your kid is what they are going to think normal is. And that's good and bad in a lot of ways.
Oh man, I'll send you the picture later, but I posted on my Instagram today of the outfit I let AB wear to school, and it was like a black tutu. She's got like a pink bear jacket with like ears on, and she's got earmuffs on.
Heck yeah, man!
Gold pants. Like I am so for having a childhood. I'm like, you want to wear crazy stuff and go out, like I'll do it with you.
Yeah.
Like give me the scarf. You want to put glitter on my face, like I'm fine. Like let's just do it. Because like I don't ever want her to feel like she has to like pull back on any of that. There will be a time in her life where she'll inevitably society will tell her like, hey, don't do these things.
Yep.
But once again, like I'm not going to be that thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be somebody else. Like Plus, I like glitter, so whatever.
So that's helpful. That helps a lot.
That's helpful. Yeah.
Let's see. Man, I feel like there's like a million more topics we could discuss, but I also want to be respectful of time.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of topics. I mean, sobriety.
Yeah.
Because I'm 12 years sober.
Nice.
Congrats. 12 and a half. Thank you. Yeah, I mean,
congrats, man.
it's one of those things that like same thing like as a therapy. Like I'm so glad I went through that before I became a dad.
Yeah.
I can't imagine going through that at the same time as becoming a dad. Like talk about like a scary thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's just so many topics. It's a
How do
crazy
you?
time.
I'll ask you this about sobriety. Restaurant world does require a lot from you. I know Sean Brock is sober, and very, very much that's part of his story. How do you manage your stress, or how do you relieve your stress? Because you've worked a very stressful job and very stressful life. What do you find as your way to relieve the pressure, since alcohol and a lot of that isn't an option for you?
You know, I've been lucky in the last couple of years to start going to the gym, and that's
Yeah,
helped. But I really think, before that, I did meetings off and
cool.
on, and I think just having community. I've always really liked people. I've always liked talking. So like, if I ever got to a point where I was like, oh, I feel overwhelmed, I
Hmm.
always felt really comfortable going to someone and being like, hey, like I just need to talk for like 10 minutes. I
Yeah,
need to like just like tell somebody what I'm feeling. And I've been lucky to have people in my life who've always been really supportive of that. And the thing about restaurants is like I think sobriety in restaurants early on, because like when I first started working for Sean at Husk. It was like 2014,
hmm,
and I was sober, and I was still fairly newly sober at that point. It was weird being sober because it was like not a like I was. I think I was probably the only person in the kitchen who was. So you
hmm,
like inevitably miss out on things, and that's
yeah,
actually like I think that was the thing is like you're not part of this community, and what I discovered, especially working at like a higher end kitchen, is there was some really quality people, and there were people who like kind of caught on and were just like, hey man, like if you want to just like sit and talk, or if you want to go do something that's not drinking related, we can.
yeah,
So I was lucky to have that. And one of my friends, Sam Jett, who hopefully will do an episode one of these days,
yeah,
was one of those people who just like wanted to sit and just like have a conversation. We've
yeah.
remained friends ever since because he was kind of there for me in those early days.
That's awesome.
Are you
But yeah,
still able to like go to bars or go to restaurants and friends drink like
yeah, yeah.
with you?
So well, at this point, I'm fine. It's actually funny. So right after I got sober, I moved back to Nashville. I was living in Chattanooga when I
Hmm.
got sober initially, and I actually spent a lot of time at Melrose, the billiards,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right after I got sober, because I was playing ping pong. I got
Really?
Nice. Oh,
super,
dude.
super into playing ping pong, and I actually ran a ping pong league at Melrose on Tuesdays for a
Really?
while I was like fairly freshly sober.
Yeah.
So it was really funny because like people would be like, "Oh, Davis, like, are you okay if I have a beer around you?" And I was like, "I go to a bar on Tuesdays and like hang out with people play ping pong. Like if they're
I
like
get that
drinking,
question all the time as well. Is
yeah,
like, hey, can I drink around you? Because I'm almost 4 years
Yeah.
now,
yeah,
and I'm like, yeah,
That's
go
fine.
for it.
Yeah.
Just be yourself.
Just
I'll
don't
be
offer it to
fine.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, just don't, my thing is always like, just don't make it my problem. Like if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
get hammered, like, and like there are people that I'm like I probably should leave if you're going to start drinking because I know this is going
Yeah.
to lead. But like for the most part, no, I have no problem. I don't really mind going to bars. Now there are times like I definitely have had days where I'm like really stressed out where I'm like I don't really want to deal with a bunch of drunk people, but I
Mhm.
think that's pretty fair. Like
Yeah.
like, this is going to be a fun time for me.
Yes.
But once again, obviously, if there's ping pong involved, like you'll get me on board. I still
Dude,
play ping pong every once in a while. I haven't been down there in a while, but
That's awesome.
uh,
that's one of my properties is the Melrose.
wait,
So
really?
I do the landscaping for it.
That's hilarious. What a small world. I mean, but I mean, I think all of you probably remember, both of you remember what it was like back in the day. Because
Oh
like, I
yeah.
think this was 12 years ago when
Yeah.
nothing was up top.
No.
I don't think ML Rose was even open at this point.
No.
No.
Like there was nothing there, and it
You
was
Yeah.
go
just that
down
like,
there and it's just a fog.
oh yeah, and like it still had carpet at that point. Because I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys remember this or not, but like there was a point at carpet, and then it flooded. I think in 2010 or whatever that big
2010. Yeah.
flood. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
I was there when it flooded, and there was people. The water was like up above people's knees, and
Oh,
people were just still playing pool and drinking. Like I
God.
vividly remember. I remember watching a guy walk down the stairs, seeing what's happened, and he ordered a shot. They handed it to him on the stairs. He took it, handed it back to them, paid for it, and then walked out because he was like, "I'm not going to get involved. They still serve him alcohol. Just let him leave." That was a crazy place at that point. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
glad it's a little nicer now. I
Yeah.
did kind of boycott it a little bit when it got sold initially because it's not
Yeah.
owned by the same people. because I was like, screw this. This isn't what it used to be. I've now realized that I if I'm going to boycott all the things in Nashville that have changed, I won't have anywhere to go.
You won't be going anywhere. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
much has changed. So much has closed down.
Yeah. I mean, so I grew up in Hillsborough Village, and man, like that whole area, just the strip. Because I mean, you used to have like Bookman, Bookwoman.
Yep.
Taste
of Japan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, oh God, man, I had so many funny like conversations there. I was so sad when Friedman's closed.
Yeah.
For me, International Market closing. I don't know about for you guys, but imagine probably you get a similar thing. Because my very first job was at Athlete's House. I don't know if you guys
really?
remember.
Oh, wow.
I worked there for 2 years.
Okay.
So my first job was at Athlete's House. So I used to eat at International Market.
Yeah, constantly.
All the time.
Yeah.
Like all the time. And it's so funny too, because like I like the new location. I'm a huge fan of the food they're doing.
Yeah.
But man, you're never gonna beat that, like walking onto the line, the spicy chicken on a stick with the fried rice and like the dumplings, and like for some reason for me, I always got root beer there. I'm not like a huge root beer drinker, but like that was just the thing. I think I did it once and I just never went back. Yeah. Oh my God, that just broke my heart when that place closed.
No, I think Arnold did a pretty good documentary on the whole experience of it closing and then reopening and everything. And he's definitely doing a lot of really good stuff, the whole James Beard nominations for it and everything. But it is different than like standing in line with a bunch of poor college students like yourself waiting to eat an egg roll for like $2 or something like that. It's different.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think for me too is like I spent a lot of time sitting in that dining room. Like I just didn't have other places to go, so I would like sit and I would eat and then I would sit and like read or something like that.
Yeah.
And I would have Patty would come over and like just check on me. She'd just be like, "Hey, are you doing okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Okay, I'm just checking." Like just never like super long conversations, but it was always just like it felt like cozy. You know what I mean? It felt like a place that I was like welcome, and I think that was cool because I think that neighborhood used to have that feel to it, where you would go in places and you got to know people, and you even if it wasn't long conversations, you had those quick, small, little, just like, "Hey, I'm just being a human, interacting with another human." Checking on you, and I love that,
Yeah, definitely. I think whenever Fido closes, that's whenever Hillsborough, I'll be like, oh nope, it's done forever now. More than like Pancake Pantry, but like Fido's is like the ultimate. Like I remember Belmont, like the 10 o'clock hour was like a no class period, so every once in a while we just walk down to Fido, get a coffee or something like that, then walk back and go back to class. More than Bongo Java. So if that place ever goes out of business, which I assume it will be because of rent costs and condition of that building, then I'll be like, oh man, that was the last like stallion,
you're right. And I hadn't really thought about that until just now. That is going to be the moment. Because like there was a little piece of me when Frugal McDougal's burned down that was like a little sad. You know what I mean? I was like,
but also not surprised.
No, not surprised at all. But like there was a part of me that was like, yo, like that has been around for forever.
Yeah.
And like the Belcourt hopefully never goes anywhere.
Yeah.
It's got its facelift and everything.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. Fido's is kind of the last one because Pancake Pantry. I think it just never felt. Well, my granddad loved Pancake Pantry, so he was a minister. And like he was the minister at First Presbyterian here for a little while, just long enough to have some Nashville things that he was like really into, and Pancake Pantry was like number one.
Yeah.
So when he came to town, we would go eat there. But aside from him, like we didn't really eat at Pancake Pantry. It wasn't like it didn't feel like part of the community.
Yeah.
But like Fido's for sure, absolutely. That was a big. I remember. I don't know if you guys were around for this, but Bosco's.
Oh yeah, of course.
Bosco's.
Bosco's. That was a big one. When that one closed, that was sad.
Well, Bosco's was like we had Carl from Black Abbey on, and his wife, I think he got into brewing beer because like there were microbrewers that meet at Bosco's, because Bosco's for a while was like the only microbrew in Nashville. So that's where like him and Linus from like Yazoo and a bunch of those guys would all just meet up there on like Mondays, and his wife was in grad school. So he'd be like, let's go here, drink some beer with these guys and talk brewing beer with them. And that was at Bosco's, which has been closed now for a long time.
A really long time. Yeah. I mean, that just, it's just crazy to like think back on that period of time. Like, because like I love that neighborhood. I'm so sad. Like, and if I had my choice, if I could move back to like an area of Nashville, that would be where I'd want to live. But I just know it wouldn't be quite the same.
Yep.
Because I'm starting to look at, we're talking about kindergarten. I'm starting to look at what kindergartens.
Yep.
And my wife and I both went to Aiken.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And so like we've talked about like it would be really cool if she could go to the same elementary school.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like, but then I'm also committed to driving into town every
very
day.
busy area. Yep.
Yeah, every single day. But
Every
I mean,
day.
I would do it. We do it now because we live in Hermitage and her daycare is in 12 South.
Okay.
And then I work in East Nashville. So I'm like doing this giant like triangle move. But at the end of the day, it's worth it because I know she's going to a good daycare. So I would just keep that trend alive, I guess.
Yep.
I think of all the restaurants that closed in Nashville while I was there, the two that I was like, oh man, the most about were Rotiers. Because my brother went, my older brother went to Vanderbilt. So he was there from like 2000, 2004 or so. And he went to Rotiers all the time because he was walking across the street to it. So if he was in town, we'd go to Rotiers.
Right by Centennial. It's it was like a little hole in the wall. There's a weird where Barnes and Noble is across the street from it. There's like a weird like Walgreens or whatever. It was right on the back side of it. It was like technically a meat and three. What was your burger there?
I just went with the standard one, you know, with like the French bread and all that, you know, like.
Okay, so the French bread one was like the one everyone was drawn to, right?
Yes.
But they had a grilled cheeseburger.
Ooh,
which like
okay.
So it was literally like a grilled cheese with a burger in the middle. And actually, it's funny enough, like the crust burger at Joyland kind of reminds me of like a version of that almost a little bit. And obviously, like I'm not saying that there's any actual like connection to the two, but it is it is kind of an interesting thing. But like as a kid, I thought that was the coolest thing. I was like, it's a grilled cheese and a cheeseburger, but it's just one thing. Like that was wild to me. I thought, and they had Galaga and they had milkshakes and like
it was old divey diner. Like you go and get a milkshake and a burger, you just consume grease, and then you go on your way.
Yep, that was.
It was like on Elliston, I think. There was a Logan's Roadhouse that I think is now a Martin's, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's like it's over near there. It was like
there's a flower shop like there too. Yeah, that was
one
a big one.
That I miss is Bread and Company. That's near and dear to me. That's where I worked at. I was a manager for the one at West End.
You know, it's funny because the thing I think about with Bread and Company was the tea.
Oh, like the fruit tea?
The fruit tea.
Yes. Dude, that you would go into a diabetic coma just drinking one.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I go
cup of it.
My daughter and I go to Baja Burrito like at least once a week. Like they know her there, right?
That's sweet.
And part of the reason I think I go there is I like their tea as well.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for, I guess, fruit tea. Maybe that's like a more natural thing than I realized.
We would make it in-house, and it was like giant jugs of lemonade, orange juice, I think, apple juice, and just a shit ton of sugar.
Yeah, basically.
There was mint in it too, right?
Yes, and mint. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. That's the thing. I know, man. I have a weird so I've always liked food. That's how I ended up working in food. And as a kid, like I was like those weird things I always picked up on. I was like, and I like, you know, like 8 years old. I'm like, there's mint in this. My parents were like, what are you talking about? And then someone would be like, no, he's right. Like he's accurate.
He's right. He's got it.
Like that's accurate. Like one of my favorite like food stories that I like to tell is two, but one was when I was 8, around that same time, I tried to get a job at Tennessee Pride, the sausage company. Because the owner went to church with us, and I basically told him, I was like, "Your sausage biscuits are my favorite thing. Like, I'd love to work for you." And he gave me like free like coupons. It was really sweet and cute about it. I tried to bribe somebody for a cornbread recipe. I was at we were at a party, and I was like, "This is the best cornbread I've ever had." Like, what would it take to get this recipe? Which is a weird way to approach us at 8. And they were like, "We can't give you the recipe." And I was like, I mean, I have some money. Like, I was like trying to come up with a way, right? And they were like, no, we can't give you the recipe because it's store bought. And I was like, heartbroken. I was like, oh, okay, well, this is ruined. And then that same period of time, we were playing 20 Questions, and I told my family one of my hints was that I had a really good grilled cheese sandwich in this city. So like I always knew that I was destined to do something in food because I was hyper fixated on it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Before we start wrapping up, we haven't given you much of a chance to like discuss Joyland at all, or what all you do from there. Do you want to do any like promotion for Joyland or anything like that, or say what all you guys got going on? Because like I know that's like one of your main focus. Joyland seems like it's like doing amazing. You guys are opening up new locations. Like it seems like every other month almost right now. I don't know if you wanted to take the chance to like promote all that stuff.
I don't know about promoting it, but like I mean, I can kind of give you a rundown of it, which is, so like So I worked for Sean. I've worked for Sean for like 10 years.
Yeah.
I was the pastry chef at Husk. I ended up being the executive sous chef. When I left, they brought me over, and I initially I was supposed to just do pastry. Like,
Yeah.
like the story of my career in a lot of places is like Davis was just supposed to do pastry. I've said that like so many times, and it's never worked
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
But I was supposed to come in and train the managers to be managers at Joyland. And I was supposed to do the R&D for like soft serve and biscuits and like pastry stuff.
Mhm.
And I showed up like one of the first day, I think the very first day, and Sean walked out to me and was just like, "Hey, I need your help."
Yeah.
And the next thing I knew, I was doing all this R&D for Joyland. And when I tell you, I cooked so much fried chicken. Like, I'll send you pictures of it. Like, it started with like these big post-it notes, and it's like one, and then it's five, and then it's like a corner, and I have pictures of like an entire wall of post-it notes. I spent like 2 months doing mostly fried chicken testing. It felt like, and so yeah, we opened during the pandemic. We opened. We were supposed to open when the tornado happened. Tornado wiped everything out because we were scheduled to open like 2 days after the tornado.
Are you serious? I
Oh,
didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so we were scheduled to open like beginning of March. The tornado hit, and that day actually. So we were doing the R&D out of Traci Thomas's office. She's Jason Isbell's manager.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so we like got on the phone with her. We actually went to her house and made biscuits to give out that day.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was crazy. It was a wild experience. It was like one of those things where like a bunch of industry people were basically like what can we do? Oh, cook, because like that's what we're good at.
Yeah.
And so we spent like at least a week to 2 weeks just giving food out. Tandy came over and cooked. Like we had a bunch of people came and cooked on the patio at Joyland, and we just had people taking like food all over like little like we had police officers taking little wagons like up and down the street handing food out. It was awesome, but it was a weird time to open a restaurant. So then we got everything put back together, and then we were set to open, and COVID happened.
Yeah.
So we basically just had to sit around, and it was wild. And so we did all curbside for the first like year or so. We all kind of got stuck there. Audrey turned into a nonprofit at one point because it was built. We didn't want to open it during COVID.
Mhm.
It was a wild time. So it's really cool now that like having gone through that whole story to just like get open, to now finally be seeing like it expand. So I think it was beginning of this year we partnered with a group called Bahakis. It's a Bahakis restaurant group. Nick Bahakis is Nick from Jim and Nick's barbecue.
Oh, okay.
So he founded it and then sold it. Now he has another restaurant group. The restaurant group manages like Rodney Scott's Barbecue, Hero Donuts, and now they're doing the expansion for Joyland. And so that's how we ended up in Birmingham. So
Birmingham, yep.
Yeah, we opened one in Birmingham in August, and then we opened the West Side in November. So what's been really interesting is like I was there at the beginning, and then kind of like I told you when my daughter was born, I spent time as like my technical title was culinary coordinator, but I was really just running around. I spent some time working in pastry at Continental, so I did do some time in pastry, and then I helped out at Audrey, I helped do events, but I've always been involved with Joyland. Even when we had different general managers, like I was just the person who came to help when they needed something or they needed someone to fill in, like if he needed a day off. So I've seen this grow, and then to like all of a sudden it was like we had this one building that I could understand, I could like hold. It was like something bad happened, I could fix this, and now all of a sudden there's a store in Birmingham, and I'm like, I hope they're doing well. I went down there for like 2 weeks and trained, and I did the same thing at Sylvan. I'll do the same thing in Charleston. But it's been really interesting. It's a cool learning experience to suddenly like look around and go, all this knowledge and all the stuff that we've distilled down over 4 years of working on this project to make a product that we're proud of, we're now like having to like really fine tune because people can screw things up in really spectacular ways like that would shock you, and now we're having to figure out how do we stop that from happening.
Of course,
over and over and over again. But it's been fun. I mean, it's cool to see, and and I'm really lucky to have been put in a position where I got to do the R&D, I got to help with the opening, and then I get to see the expansion, and sort of see what this all looks like. Because the thing is, like, if you'd asked me when I was leaving Husk, like, would you want to be part of like a fast casual expansion? I probably would have said no. But now, weirdly, as a dad, it kind of makes sense for me. My schedule's a little bit better. And it's also cool because like my daughter loves going into Joyland. Like,
Yeah.
she knows what dad's work is. She also, I mean, for over a year has been understood where the ice cream comes from, and she knows how to ask my employees for it. Like, she will literally go up and like grab them and like point before she could even really talk that much. Like, point at the ice cream. She knew what it was. So I don't know. It's cool. It's been a fun thing. Joyland is a cool brand, and the cool part is like we started this with like the intention of like how do we do fast casual food that we would feel good about feeding our families. Because we use like Bear Creek beef, Springer Mountain chicken. We use high quality products, and like it's cool because like Bear Creek, I'm friends with them, known them for forever. They take really great care of their animals, so it's cool that like we're taking care of our essentially other people's children by feeding them food that we would feed our own children.
That's cool. Yeah.
So yeah, and then, like hopefully somebody at some point looks around and it has the Rotiers experience of like, being a kid and being like, I just thought this was the coolest thing ever. Like that's a really cool thing to get to give to somebody else.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, no, it's a wild time. We'll see what see. We'll see what the next year holds for Joyland, but it's probably all good things.
I didn't realize that you guys, because I know because Stay Golden was in that space before, and then you guys took over, and I didn't realize that you guys were supposed to open the same time as the tornado, which would have been literally on the street in which you guys are located.
Oh, Basement East. I mean, we're next to Basement East.
You're next to Basement.
Yeah.
So the fact that WeWork complex, whatever, didn't get destroyed by that tornado is also kind of like a count your blessings moment, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because we were obviously it all happened. Our general manager at the time and I were both trying to figure out how to get to the building to see if it was still there.
Yeah.
But of course, like it was chaos. And I don't remember somebody got there and was like, all right, we're fine, but the neighborhood is not.
Correct.
And that was the moment for the biscuit making thing where it was like, okay, we know that like our stuff is safe-ish, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, what can we do now? And I'll never forget going and handing out biscuits and just like you're just walking by people crying in front of their houses, like watching, like seeing that. I mean, it was so sad, and you do as much as you can, but that was one of those moments where I was kind of glad to be in Nashville because at least the community was going to come around and do their part, which is great. I mean, that's the great part about having grown up here is you've seen that. Unfortunately, it has to happen, but you've seen it happen multiple times. So.
Yep. Nope. It's good to know how strong your community is and how strong your community can be. It's also nice to not have to give more opportunities for them to rally around you,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So how we end. Also impressive that you've sat in the Audrey's library for like an hour and 15 minutes. And like not, if you've been interrupted, you have played it off so coolly.
I locked the door.
There we go.
But in case people are barging down the door, we'll start wrapping up. How we end every episode is we ask every guest the same 5 questions. And whenever Justin has it pulled up on his computer, he will ask the first question.
First question. Did you have any backup names for your girl?
We talked about some different names, but we kind of landed on Annabeth, and it just felt really right. Her middle name is Helen, which is my grandmother's name. So we had that conversation. Mm-hmm. The only backup name that like I wanted that I don't think really struck home was Isbell, which was my other grandmother's name. And then if she'd been a boy, she would have been named Davis.
Okay.
And so it's my name, but it's also my dad's name, my granddad's name, my great granddad's name.
Oh, cool.
So there's just like there wasn't really like if we weren't going to break that chain. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess all of them are fairly impressive people. So I'm like, okay, well, I maybe not quite lived up to those standards just yet.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I have one sister, and so actually one of the stories, one of my favorite things is like, so my dad's name is Davis Graham Reese. My name is Davis Lancaster Reese. My mom's name was Christiana Lancaster Reese. My sister's name is Christiana Graham Reese.
Really?
So between the four of us, we have 5. We have 5 names.
That is ridiculous.
It's the whitest thing I've ever heard.
Next question: do you have a favorite TV or movie dad?
Phil Dunphy.
Yeah, he's solid.
I mean, that's I mean, come on, talk about somebody that you're like, oh my god, I would want to hang out with that guy. Like, and also like I want him to be my dad. He's great. Yeah, that's definitely my go-to. I'd have to say.
He is surprisingly, when we started this, he was not who I would have expected people to say, but he has become him or Bandit from Bluey are top two. I feel like Phil Dunphy is like, if I'm more surprised when people don't say Bandit or Phil Dunphy.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that, it's funny too, because like I definitely thought about that one a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know who am I like go to, and then I was like, I'd be lying if I said anybody else.
Yeah.
Because you want to give the unique answer, but then I was like, no, I'm just gonna give
Phil.
the answer.
Just be truthful, man.
Yeah,
it has made me go back and rewatch some Modern Family, and I'm like, he's a solid TV dad.
Oh, he's a great TV.
He's great. He's a great TV dad.
He's a great TV dad. Absolutely. I mean, just also like. I think there's something about so both of the given answers, Bandit and Philadelphia, like you're looking at them screw up, and you're looking at them want to do better, and there's the authentic, like it feels very authentic. It's like I can relate to that, because I remember watching some episodes after becoming a dad, and realizing I relate to what he's doing right here so much more than I didn't get it before, and now I do, you know?
Pretty much. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next question. Do you have a least favorite kids show that your kid watched or watches, or one that you watched as a kid that just drives you insane?
I do not like Coco Melon.
Yeah. Yep.
That's probably number one.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, but it's the truth. It's the one that I'm like, because I really don't mind most of the kid shows. That one just really bugs me. And what's the one with the guy? Was it Blippi? What is there's one with a Blippi
with like the orange and blue hat.
Yeah, creepy. Like what is that? Like what? Like, I'm watching this and I'm like, I don't feel safe letting you watch this. This feels wrong. That one definitely. I don't know. For the most part, I like most of the shows she watches. I feel like pretty good about it. But yeah, the Cocomelon one, and I don't know what is the music. I don't know what it is. It just gets on my nerves.
Yeah.
Like,
Blippi is hilarious because like Blippi, when you look at like that character, I'm like, I wouldn't leave you alone in a room with kids. That's how I feel.
That's exactly what I mean by I feel like unsafe. Yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is not great.
Creepy.
If I saw you in person now, I'd be like, hey guys, let's go do literally anything else. Let's
cross the street. Like exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Next question. Do you have a favorite kids toy or activity? Like whenever you and AB do it together, you enjoy doing it especially.
Ooh, that's a good one. I guess really honestly, the thing that she and I do like is dance. We spend a lot of time,
sweet.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time dancing, and it's gotten like better as she's gotten older. Like initially, it was just like kind of funny because you're like, haha, you're dancing, you're a little kid, it's adorable. But she's like really into it now. And so she actually takes dance classes, so I think that's also encouraged it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
But we like she literally wears the last like week or so has been wearing headphones, listening to music. She's gotten really into music,
That's
so
awesome.
she's just like having her own dance party.
Yeah.
But what's great is because we've always danced together, she will grab me and make me dance with her. And like it's a really sweet moment because I'm like it's just one of those things. It's like you're like looking, you're like, of course I'll come dance with you.
Yeah.
Like once again, nothing's more important than this exact moment. Like please grab my hand and want to dance with me, and let's hope this never ends. Like I want you to always feel like you can grab me, and I'll always take the opportunity to dance with you.
That's really sweet.
As far as toys go, though, I mean, God, we have so many. I don't know. We need less toys in my house.
Yeah.
Like it's a problem.
What is one moment of your kid's life that you are most excited to be a part of?
Ooh. Whew. Most excited to be a part of. I mean, I'm excited for so many aspects of this. I think there's so many things that I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do this. He goes like, I think there's the traditional like walk her down the aisle or any of that stuff. But I think really for me, like I'm looking forward to like whatever that first really big success is that she has. Because I think for me, and I don't know, like outside of school, you know, like the thing where that moment, I look forward to that moment where she realizes like, oh, I am capable. Do you know what I mean? Like I am, like I can do this. Whether it's getting the job she wanted, or you know, taking like hiking the mountain she wants to, or whatever that thing is that she decides she wants to do. I look forward to just like being able to celebrate her achievements more so than anything. I think.
Yeah.
and I do think like I said, like walking her down the aisle, whatever, like the moment where she gets to choose me, but like really I'm looking forward to the moments where she does something awesome and I get to come behind her and just say like, hey, I'm really proud of you. You did something awesome.
Yep.
Cool.
No,
good answer, man.
Yep. If we want to know more about you, if we want to follow you on Instagram, anything like that, take the chance to promote Joyland, say how to follow you, anything like that. So whenever we post the episode, people can be like, I want to follow this guy on Instagram, anything like that,
I mean, yeah. So like my Instagram's dreese615. I don't post a lot. I mostly just post my stories these days. Just a funny it's funny insights into my life with AB, but also Joyland, and it is pretty cool. Like I'm the guy who's constantly like going from store to store, and like I get to go open the store. So I do have just random things I post that are funny little tidbits that you wouldn't see otherwise. But I think my main thing is like I'm always around. If anyone ever wants to talk about restaurants or any of that stuff, like I'm happy to have the conversation. And I think one of the things that I like about being in the restaurant industry and being sober and being a dad and doing all that stuff is that like I do get to have unique conversations with people who are at different places in their lives, and it is kind of cool to be able to say like, hey man, like it does get better, it does get okay, this is all fine. And then on the flip side, I have people that I look up to that I'm like, hey, this does get better, right? And they're like, yes.
yeah.
I'm always looking for someone to tell me that like, 3 is the tough age, right? This is not just the beginning.
Yeah.
For now.
For now.
Yes. Davis, thanks a ton, man, for hanging out with us for a bit, talking dad life. Thanks, man. Yeah, man. Appreciate it a lot, and we'll be in contact.
Awesome. Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
you, man.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening. Please make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at the Nashville Dads, and make sure to follow us on anywhere you find your podcast, and please give us a 5-star rating. And thank you to Matt Oakes for providing the music for the episode. Catch you next time.